you two, when you had second yellow card and Kev on, removing attributes, you've upset a few people.
I'm on first yellow card here.
I think training should be geared more to match preparation rather than just a training. Like, you could just do anything. That training that week should be focused on that match and that match only.
I'm not saying that my 4-year-old son can draw better, but that is a new gen face if ever I've seen one.
I don't know why they need an announcement for the game when they're announcing when the game's going to be announced. So officially, FM25 does or does not exist
My
yet.
head just went, what?
I just saw a train go through Aaron's eyes.
I mean, what is it that they've delayed the announcement?
You just call a whole nation a bunch of SpongeBob SquarePants.
It was at this moment that the podcast took a turn. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FM show. I am your host Tony Jameson, joined as always by RDF Tactics, Aaron Falloon and Cy Maggio. Fellas, how are we? Aaron, I'll come to you first because you missed last week. Are you well?
Yeah, I was going to say, you just said as always, and I'm like, I wasn't here last week. But I'm doing well. I'm a bit heartbroken. So we are recording this on the Sunday evening. Manchester City versus Arsenal has just finished. So obviously me being a gooner, the way that match, and it was a great game, I thought anyway. Just watching it, my heart couldn't take it as the game was playing. Obviously we conceded in the last minute, but
Never turn that time wasting dial all the way up.
Yeah, literally.
That's what he did. Because you'll concede.
I say I'm heartbroken, but I'm not hurt, if that makes sense. Like, I would take the draw, run away with the draw, even when it was 2-1 up and 10 men is like, if you get a draw, take it and run, sort of thing. So yeah, I'm a bit there's a bit of proud, but obviously sometimes you feel like you've been done by the ref as well. So yeah, a little bit heartbroken, a little bit.
Si, do you think they need to add goalmouth scrambles into FM25 to get that?
Sending off for kicking the ball seems to be the trend at the minute.
Yeah, hopefully that comes into the game as well. Yeah, kicking away the ball.
Mate, could you imagine the anger that would be like hitting the SI forums going, my star striker's been sent off because he kicked the ball away. How can you tell me this happens all the time and it doesn't? I've got the stats to prove when it happens in real life. Oh, honestly, it would be going off, wouldn't it?
Oh, man, it would be mental if they could add that into the game.
Yeah, and Si, what about yourself? How's your weekend been? Good one?
Yeah, it's well, my team's lost. People who don't know, I'm a Portsmouth fan, and we haven't won a game yet this season, so it's a long season. We've had tough fixtures. It'll be all right. We were looking like we were going to get a draw, lost again. So yeah, 6 games in, no wins.
Is it a bad time to mention Sunderland doing quite well then? Should we just gloss over that, shall we?
You did lose the one last weekend, right? You lost to Plymouth, didn't you?
We lost to correction, Wayne Rooney's Plymouth to get the full title.
It doesn't matter what else you do this season. You could win the league. You lost to Wayne Rooney's Plymouth.
Hey, look, we might be top of the league or second in the league now, but if anyone can finish 12th this season, it's Sunderland, and I believe in them. Okay? But one thing I will say, and Aaron and I were talking just before we started recording, while waiting for Si jumping on, Wonder Kid watch, Chris Rigg. Everybody, get your eyes off him. Don't watch him. Do not watch him. He's a dreadful player. Don't start looking at this boy. He is a serious talent. He's going to be big on FM25, I reckon.
Yeah, he should. It was pretty decent on FM24, right? But it was more of a random. It was either going to be good or not, sort of thing. Hopefully in FM25, yeah, he's going to be at least good each time because he does look like he's going to be something. A little special.
Who'd have thought, me talking about actual football? That's the thing. It's a crazy world. Speaking of crazy world, Si, I tweeted you this week and posted it in the Discord as well. Sorry to upset you, but in my current save game in Greece, Southampton have won the English Premier League.
You're making my week worse. I mean, the good news is in real life they also haven't won a match yet. Or did they? No, they drew yesterday in the end. So yeah, it's okay. They're struggling along with Portsmouth. I mean, to be fair, I won the Champions League with them in the beta this year. That was a charity punishment. I don't normally put myself in charge of Southampton. It was kind of a fun save. They got a lot of good young players, I hate to admit it, but I did enjoy playing as Southampton.
I think I've had this little tip before on the show about Southampton, but if anyone does manage them, literally check the transfer clauses. There's sometimes a whole load, and you can just cash in and start the season with like 40 million without even pressing the button. Well, other than selling the clauses, that's the only buttons you've got to press.
Yeah, I don't know what you're smiling for as well, Aaron. Wayne Rooney's Arsenal on my save as well. So.
Could you imagine? Oh no.
It's bizarre, man. Honestly, like, it's because there gets to a point, doesn't it, in the saves when managers just go wild. Like Olympiacos have had Patrick Vieira for a few years. Like he's been the manager out there. But then I clocked we've had Brendan Rodgers as manager of Croatia in the save, and like I say, Wayne Rooney now at Arsenal. I'm like, this is weird.
We've got Eddie Howe's Real Madrid in the Bilbao save.
Eddie, how did that happen?
I know. He's unbeaten as well in the league. He's causing me problems. I'm like, that bloody Eddie Howe. Always getting away with it.
I was going to say, I do love when the game gets a bit crazy like that, but I never get to that stage. I never make it. I always see other people say, it's like, what? They won the league and this team's relegated. And like, I'm there just thinking, I'm in season 5. When is this going to start happening for me, man?
There's only the Zagreb FIFA E where you even got to season 5. You've never got to season 5 before. We should say as well, by the way, some of you may have noticed in the Discord, the actual save game from the FIFA E World Cup, the Dinamo Zagreb save that Aaron and Second Yellow Card had, is now available for you to play. It's sort of our community challenge, really. We're aware that FM25 is starting to wind down a little bit. The challenge is very, very simple, Aaron, isn't it? Basically, be better than what you and Matt did, and that's quite a challenge, Si.
Yeah, no save scumming either. You can't just keep reloading the game. Well, did they say you're not allowed to do that at the event, Aaron? I wonder if anyone had tried that as a strategy.
That's the thing. There was no... I mean, there was referees, right? So I'm guessing the referee could just come and just like, hey, disqualification for you. But
you wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to risk it. But there was never a rule about save scumming. There weren't.
Ooh. I mean, someone's going to try it one day.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, we're not going to have too many rules per se. Just while Aaron considers what's going on, we're not going to have too many rules per se in the community challenge. It's meant to just be a bit of fun. If you are going to pick it up and do fancy having a go, do obviously keep us posted with how you're getting on in the Discord. Aaron, is there any advice you would give people at this moment in time? Any players that you might want to be like, hey, you've someone in the youth system or something, or like a strategy that you had? Obviously don't give the whole game away, but things that maybe if people haven't managed in Croatia, what can they look out for?
The striker Bruno Petkovic is absolutely insane. Nobody at the World Cup tournament spotted it, but he does have a minimum release clause of like 2.3 million at the start. So I did come home after the tournament. I did go home, start a new save with Dynamo, just to make sure if I could offer him a new contract if we let that one go. And yeah, we dropped the ball. You could offer him a new contract straight away. He accepts it, and you can remove that transfer clause. That I would absolutely do, because Chelsea snapped him up halfway through our season. Thankfully, we done well, but he's magical in the game. He scores all sorts of goals. It's just not a player that you would actually want to do this challenge without.
Okay. Si, anything from you? Have you had a look at it yet?
Do you know what? It's funny because I remember when Aaron and they were so excited, they just wanted to get stuck into their save, and I was in the chat and I was going, check those release clauses, release clauses, and I think they were missing the messages. I think they did have a quick look at them, like, oh, it's fine, and I was like, are you sure? He's only got a 2.3 mil release clause, and I think they missed it, or I thought they'd already looked at it and it wasn't available. But you did pick up Rocco Simic, didn't you? Afterwards,
yeah. So it did sort of play out, but he's special. He's like one of those players that makes your save fun. Like the goals that he scores, like it's okay. Rocco Simic might score like 20 goals, but it's all like driven low crosses. He just taps it in. He's like, I say like it's an easy goal. He's obviously got the attributes as getting him in the right positions at the right time and that sort of thing. But Bruno, we're talking about free kicks. Then in the same game, he's going to lob the goalkeeper and then smashing the goal. Like he's probably the only player that's going to score the overhead kick and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think his flair's like 17. And he's, again, one of those players that you really see the flair play out on Football Manager. So, yeah, it was just totally fun having him. But it was just crazy that obviously you have him, but then the next challenger have him, and it's like he's doing this in everyone's save. So we know, again, it's not a one-time thing. He's just gonna do this in Football Manager. So yeah, and he done well when he went to Chelsea. So he's got to be a decent game player on the match engine itself.
Okay, exciting. So, right, like I say, yeah, let us know how you get on if you are going to take part in the challenge. Obviously, the link for the Discord is in the description below, as is the link to come and see us live. We've got some live shows coming up at the end of October and start of November. Live shows in Birmingham and Nottingham. Tickets available in the description below. While we're talking about saves, before we get into this week's discussions, we did mention a few weeks ago about me in Greece, and there was a moment where me and Larissa parted ways, and I think it was with Breezy, wasn't it? We were like, so what do? Do I start a new save? Do I go back for revenge? Turns out revenge is what I went for. And Larissa sacked me, and Offie in Crete, I believe it's pronounced Offie, I was calling it OFI, but Offie apparently is the correct pronunciation. Offie in Crete, their manager left and took over Larissa. So I figured I'll just take over them, right? Because their owner was a tycoon and he had a bit of cash kicking around. They wanted to finish mid-table. Turns out we finished third in the first season, qualified for the Champions League qualifying stage, because we're now in the stage where we have 3 Champions League spots in Greece. Got battered by Benfica, but let's ignore that. But let's focus on the fact that Larissa finished 5th. So all God. Smiles in our house, to be honest. So we are still in Greece and we are still having a lot of fun. Second season with them now. Hopefully we can push on and basically try and be up there in the top 3, because that's what the club's expecting now. So nothing like pressure, Si.
It's tough. I'm really struggling in Spain I'll get a run of like 20 games winning, and then I'll just go in a really spotty form, and that's it. Like, the season's over because Real Madrid or Barcelona are just not taking those dips in form. Like, they'll lose the odd match, but very rarely do they take dips in form. And then you suddenly find yourself 12, 15 points adrift. It happened to me last season, and it's happened to me this season. And, like, I'd imagine it's the same in Greece. You know, you're looking at Olympiakos, you're looking at Panathinaikos, you're looking at PAOK, Thessaloniki, and you're just watching them, and you'll be like, you're waiting for them to slip up rather than the other way around.
No. We definitely said that a few times as well, Aaron, didn't we? Watching matches with you. I think it was France. I think you were with that, weren't you? When it was with PSG, you can be unbeaten, and it's you draw once and lose to PSG, and it's over. Like, you're just like, oh, what's the point? You know, record-breaking season, and you're still second.
I guess it's how teams feel. Like, I mean, Liverpool warned us as well. Warned Arsenal fans, like, this is how they felt when they were challenging City for that title, and now this is how we feel. Like, you quite literally have to. It feels like you have to win every game, and that pressure on Football Manager is horrible. So horrible. Because you're just there as well. You're watching their latest score, and it's just, you could just see, like you're watching Real Madrid and Mbappe scores in the first minute. You're like, oh my, my heart is just, oh God.
The worst bits I see is when you get the league table up, and you're like, oh, we're 3 points ahead. This is going pretty good. And like, there's only 1 game in hand. Then you look back about 4 games later, and you're like, how are they 7 points ahead? You're like, we played the same games.
I don't know. Yeah,
we've just kept winning. They've kept winning. Did they get extra points or something?
Oh man, I'm always convinced that Football Manager is just definitely just adding points or doing something weird in the games. That happens so often. Or it's when you're ahead and you're ahead by 8 points, you're thinking, oh yeah, you draw 1 game, you look at the table like, 3 points? What's happened there? Sometimes it feels like you've drawn 1 game when you've actually just drawn 3 on the pounds.
So that's where we are then. We're back in Greece until the end of the 24 cycle. I'm definitely committed now to finishing that. We're still 6th in the Euro coefficient, so that's pretty good. We're happy. We did have a little flirt with Bordeaux. We loaded it up and thought maybe we'll do it when they're in the 2nd division this year. I know they're in the 4th division next season. and that's going to be an absolute horror show. If someone can get a database, then that might be on my
Did anyone see their first game?
I was about to say the first game, and also the game this weekend where Andy Carroll comes off the bench at 2-0 down and scores 2 goals to get the equalisers.
Oh, did he?
No.
Legend.
Because the first game was the goalkeeper grabbing the last-minute equaliser, wasn't it? Oh, my days, man.
Yeah. So
it's a
Seems
story
like
mode
the fourth
itself.
tier in France is the one. It seems like it's just madness popping off there. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. It's basically it's FM23, but in France.
Oh, my God.
Right, but that's looking forward. That's looking forward, and we've been looking forward over the last couple of weeks. You know, we've had some great episodes, and if you haven't watched those episodes, by the way, with Lelujo and Second Yellow Card, and last week's episode, Work the Space, and Dr. Benji talking about FM25, get yourselves involved. Go and have a watch of those episodes. They've been
Can I put my hand up here,
fantastic.
Tony? I've got to say, you two. When you had Second Yellow Card and Kev on, I think you guys, you're removing attributes. You've upset a few people.
I'm on first yellow card here. First yellow card, right? First written warning.
I've got a VAR. It wasn't me.
Actually, to be fair, Aaron was defending the idea.
VAR. It wasn't VAR. But you upset a lot of people, Tony. Oof.
I was going to say go back and watch them, right? But now don't go back.
Are you still sticking by it? I think is the question, or have you had some clarity? Were you all high on post World Cup fumes?
Right. Let's give some context, okay? Now, what angered a lot of people, okay, is that I was saying, and Lelujo said as well, but I probably led the charge on it, so I'll hold my hands up. Okay, it's my fault here. I said that they could get rid of attributes, and a lot of people then went, oh yeah, but there's the Musterman skin for that. I know about that, right? But what I meant was, the way that I play the game in my head would be that if you wanted to be a real football manager, you wouldn't know attributes of players, okay? You don't walk in on day one and go, he's got 17 acceleration, he's got 15 creativity, he's got 14 agility. Like, everyone complains the game's too easy. I was offering a solution to make it a little bit more tricky, and apparently what everyone heard was, Tony hates everyone, right? And it's not that, right? I understand. I maybe went a little bit. My example was fine in my head, but it's a bit too extreme for the majority of FM players. So I will apologise. But I do think there should be an option in game to physically remove the attributes. I know you can play with attribute masking. I know you can put skins on, and I know you can change the colours or whatever on the screen, but I just thought that for another level of immersion and almost like a hidden difficult, not a hidden difficult level, but like a difficulty level, if people are saying it's too complicated and too easy right now, then you could do that. So I was offering that. I'll also offer my apologies as well to a lot of people that really took umbrage with what I was saying.
Okay, so rather than maybe we don't remove them, but I'm sort of thinking about how they do some. There's some of them definitely need a rethink. So the example I think of is free kicks and corners. So free kicks, as I understand, on the SI forums, a member of SI said it only applies to direct free kicks, and out wide the crossing attribute is used.
I've seen that.
Right?
Yeah,
I've seen that.
But if that's the case, why is there a corner attribute at all? And that isn't just a crossing attribute.
So do you think there should be a set pieces attribute?
I know.
Then?
Wait. No, Tony.
Oh,
We might have had. Wait. I
You've
think
already
this
done
is
enough
bad.
damage
I think
here.
I think we rewinded back to with Steve. I'm pretty sure I've said just remove corners and just have crossing because it's you'll technically still have to cross for the corner. And then there was that debate about it's a set piece or it's a dead ball versus blah 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 blah. I remember there was that debate. But I also felt that just remove corners and just have crossing. And I found it weird that in the game that you could be very good at corners, but very bad at actually crossing.
Also then, would you also need vision in there as well? Because again, like if you're doing a corner, you want to be able to put it onto someone either in the angle or you want to look for the movement. So again, vision's got to come into play, surely. It can't just be corners.
This is where Football Manager probably will need to clear up on these attributes and if they work or where they work standalone and where there's actually a combination of things. Because even with free kicks, right, if I'm looking for a free kick taker, I'm not looking just for free kicks. I'm also looking at long shots and technique as well. I don't know, that's just the way I play the game, and I feel that makes them better at free kicks. You're more likely to score a goal. And you even see it on your game, right? If you look at the top free kick scorers, it tends to be people with high free kicks or okay free kicks, but then high long shots and technique. It usually comes in a combination. And I'm the same with corners as well. Like, I prefer my corner taker to have high corners, not crossing for some reason, but high corners, vision and technique. I always look at vision for corners, yeah.
They need to
tell
us.
But again, they need to clear up, if it's where these things are working in combinations or where things are working standalone. Because again, like the casual football manager player, right? They'll play the game. The striker's not scoring the goals, but then they're raging. His finishing's on 18, but then they're completely ignoring the fact that his composure's on 10. And do you know what I mean? But to the casual football manager player, they don't know that certain attributes or certain moments will work in combinations rather than the standalone.
But just before Si comes in, so I just decide to if I'm about to cut you off or not. But there is on the skin. It does highlight combinations, doesn't it? Like you can click on the I know it certainly does on the SAS skin, but I think it does on the vanilla as well. I might be wrong, but there is, if you click on the actual role, it does highlight the attributes that you need to play that role sufficiently.
For the role, yeah.
But
it doesn't say what they're doing.
So you almost get that little nudge. Like, and again, this is what FM's great at. You know, people say that FM's too easy. In a sense, it is, because you get a lot of information that you may be taking in without really thinking about it that is leading you towards the right answer in the game. Like, you know, there's preset tactical styles. There's preset formations. Like, you know, you click a 4-3-3, it gives you a decent setup of a 4-3-3 without you having to think too much about the roles. And like, you've then got all these little sort of like things that are leading you towards the right answer. So yeah, it will be easy if you're picking up on these visual clues. What I was saying a couple of weeks ago was going, if you take all those clues away, then does the game become a bit more tricky? Because yes, it will, because you're then going to have to learn it all again. Sorry, Si, to cut you off.
I think, and this is why there is a lot of talk online. It's very negative about all the stuff they're removing from the game. But I think it's why they're starting from fresh and going with the base game, because there's so much built into the game. And I've said this before, so I'll try not to reiterate it too much. But so I'll give you some examples, like penalties. When you get your list of penalty takers, you get given penalties, you get given composure, and you get given finishing. But apparently finishing doesn't impact it, or maybe it does. People don't know. And it's the same with the free kicks. So if you hover over free kicks, it says it applies to direct and indirect free kicks, which is the opposite of what they've said on the SI forums. And it's like, these bits of information are just chucked out there in different places, and they're contradictory, right? Or, I mean, shouts is a good example where Miles says they don't do what they say they do. The in-game tooltip says about morale, and Miles is saying they don't affect morale at all. And it's like, well, do they or don't they then? Because you're saying it just impacts how they play the tactic. The in-game tooltip literally says morale, and like, I think this is where they need to go back and just be like, right, there's too much in here. Not to remove stuff, but to be like, we've got to reset it and put it back in so that it's correct and it fits with each other, and it's not like a mechanic from FM13 trying to interact with a mechanic from FM17 trying to interact in the FM24 match engine, and it's like, it's skewed all over the place.
Is it more of a cleanse? Like just cleaning up the code? Because I guess, in simple terms, they're building the game from scratch. Right, okay, theory, there shouldn't be anything coming from an old game into the new game. That's how I understand it, okay? So you're not going to get, as you say there, Si, old code that is conflicting with current code, or you're just over-typing it and go, right, well, let's say what that now is a different percentage because the way that the game plays is slightly differently. So is it a case of then just cleansing stuff out that hasn't worked as imagined, Aaron? You kind of like suggest that maybe that's not the case.
Well, we had this conversation, and actually, chat. I always like to call people chat as well. So let us know in the comments or whatever. Like, I do think now we sat on it, we spoke about it, and it's not fresh anymore. I do feel there's a part of me. I started sitting there thinking about it myself. Like, what would I remove from the game? Not completely, but what would I remove from FM24 So it's not in FM25, but then returns in FM26 as a better feature. I think that's a good question for people to answer in the comment section. And I think that the game needs a cleanse. It needs to start from the beginning. I've pointed this out as well on streams, that there are things in the game it feels like that shouldn't be in FM24. That was an FM2015, 16 sort of thing. And obviously I'm not a gamer. I don't know how these things, I'm not a gamer. I don't know like the workings of a game, how to create a game and all this code and that sort of stuff. So I can't comment too much about that, but it does feel like someone's worked on something, they're no longer there, and they can't correct whatever it is. So they just left it in the game sort of thing. And I feel like now Football Manager's at the point where, especially Miles, isn't really happy with how things are, completely happy with how things are. Like you say, he's a perfectionist. He wants things to be perfect. I think the only way FM26 can be perfect, or FM27, is if FM25 just has a cleanse. Just get rid of certain things and let them work in it in the background and just give us a game that we can play and enjoy.
Do you think expectations too high side? Do you think any game can ever truly be perfect?
No game will be perfect. I mean, a lot of people are very down on Football Manager, but if Sports Interactive really gone wrong in the past, I guess the challenge is like doing a complete refresh of the game. That's always a risk. But this isn't a studio that's like got a number of serial failures. Like they've always done well. Now they have been growing a lot, but the personnel there, Miles is still in charge. There is still a lot of staff there who've been there for a number of years, and I think overall you're probably looking at I think people who've been sat probably on ideas for a long time, and they haven't been able to implement them because that's not how the game works. And I think this gives them a chance to go, now let's do it this way. Let's try it this way. Let's rebuild from the ground up. Change the way in which the management game is played, so that maybe it's more like real management, maybe it's more fun, maybe it's more engaging, maybe it's more intuitive, which that talk of attributes like probably brings about. I'd imagine attributes are still going to be there, but like if there's a way that, and this is something I wanted years ago, if there was a way for me, and it does do it a little bit now with the little preview, but if there's a way for me, whatever change I make, it shows me a visualization of what would happen, or a simulation of what would happen with that change. It shows me the simulation of what that player in that position does if I put tackle harder on, and what they do if they do if I turn tackle harder off, or something like that. Or what the likelihood that they'll do something is. I don't need an exact percentage or something, but just an idea of how they're gonna play. Maybe tackle harder isn't the best because it'll probably just show me them making fouls. But
no, you know what? Like tackle harder maybe isn't the one, but get stuck in is though.
Yeah,
because get stuck in, right? Like I probably have that clicked on quite a lot, but it's getting to open interpretation, is it? Of are they going to go throwing themselves in 50-50 balls or 60-40 balls where they're maybe like not in favour, or is it just they're going to try and like get tight, they're going to push up, they're going to really sort of work hard, they're not going to stand off, they're not going to be passive. Like, is get stuck in, maybe Aaron, you might be able to help understand this one, is get stuck in literally like just it works with your pressing, you're more intense, it's more high intensity? Is that how you interpret it, or is it just a case of kick lumps out of them and if they move, give them a bit?
Yes, I don't think that. I don't think it's the kicking the lump, because even earlier, I was playing a game without it. Like, a lot of the times when I'm playing the game, like, offline, I don't use these get stuck in and that. And obviously, my results are a lot more inconsistent offline. But I still get those random red cards where the player just goes and slides through someone at the halfway line. I think that, which just always happens, the way I interpret it, get stuck in and tackle harder, is more of the player's aggressiveness and leaving his position to go and engage the player that has the ball. So obviously there's going to be stay on feet, and to me, I don't like the wording. For me, it would be stand off rather than stay off feet. Yeah. So it will be stand off or stay in your position sort of thing. Don't engage much. Again, similar if you watched the football today, Manchester City versus Arsenal, a lot of the times when the ball went in that wider areas, it felt that Arsenal, the wider area, had that job of just staying on their feet and staying in their position. Don't allow Man City to work the ball inside the thing, rather than engaging, leaving your position to go and press the guy, because then that can obviously leave space and whatnot. So that's how I interpret get stuck in. It's not me like tackling more. And that's why I think you run the risk of obviously getting more yellow cards, because you are leaving your position to try and win that ball.
But is that then, so if you're saying about sort of like stand up and like hold your position and almost like sort of like shepherd the ball, really, like they've got this season with the tactical adjustment of like, you know, show them down the wing or show them outside. Like that should really be just just hold your shape, like, you know, just sort of like just shuffle them off the ball. You don't want to be like putting the foot in, just jockey them out wide. But does it quite work as intended? Is that what it's down to? Is it things that don't work quite as intended?
Or we just don't understand it because there's no clarity. But like you said, you've got to work the ball out. So I think, again, like now thinking about it, are these things working in combination? Like, stay on feet might just be redundant if you don't have these other things set on. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to force the opposition out wide, but you've also got to get stuck in, how is that going to work? How's your winger going to decide, let me just force him out wide, let him play out wide and get stuck in? You're basically telling him two different things. Like, if you're thinking of your winger and he's got to force play on the outside and you're telling him to get stuck in, like, is he engaging in the ball, or is he supposed to be standing off in and letting them play out wide before them pressing? So like, I think a lot of these things are supposed to work in combinations, but again, there's no real clarity over these things.
And I don't think as well that like things just override as well, Si. Like, I've noticed this, like, because I've been no surprise to a lot of people. I like to play counter-attack. I play counter-attack in football, even as one of the top teams in the league. I like to play counter-attack in football. I like to get the ball and then, like, bam, and I move quickly out of my attacks. So I'm naturally set up to be cautious, okay, because that would be the natural default thinking of how a counter-attacking system would play. But I can move that to positive. And that shouldn't really make any sense, Si. But the game just allows you to do it. So is this why the game can be a bit easy? Because it doesn't sometimes really matter what you press?
I guess if you switch to positive when you're playing counter-attacking football, you're no longer playing counter-attacking football.
No, you're not.
That's the... So I think that comes down to when you're choosing those presets, they are just presets. They're not... They're not. You can move off of them. You can sit with that counter attack. You press counter attacking, and then change every slider to change it to gegenpress. Right? It's not like it's not going to. It's still going to say counter attacking is the name, but it won't be a counter attacking tactic. I think that's one of the things.
So are you saying when you're in a tactic creator screen, and I'm saying I want to play gegenpress, Football Manager should physically stop me from actually using certain things? So maybe you can use a clean slate where you have the option to do whatever you want, your creative tactics. But if you're setting, so let's say they introduce things into the game and you have these things like style of play, and style of play is important, then maybe it should be a thing where you press gegenpress, but you shouldn't be able to put the tempo all the way down, because then that obviously defeats the whole purpose and gegenpress and sort of.
But the assistant maybe
down
tells
to the
you
next thing. It should move you down to like.
Maybe it gives you two options: extremely high or slightly high, rather than being able to go to slow.
Or what if you get a warning? You get the assistant and he says, "Hey, our tempo's too low for a gegenpress."
Yeah, very bad idea.
Or limit your other options. So you can have gegenpress on, right? And then on the other screen of your out of possession, all you've got is press hard, or press, as you say there, like slightly press. So you've got where your sliders like maybe five notches. You can only do the top two. And if you're like, we're losing the ball a lot, the tempo's really high, we want to move that down, but you can't move it down. You have to go to the next preset down, which is control possession, or, tiki-taka.
No. Come on, we can't be forcing people to choose presets.
No, because you still have, like we said, we still have the option to use a clean slate, but it's in a world where, let's say in a world where FM25, a thing like tactical style becomes important. Like I think it feels silly that your board is requiring a certain style of play, and then you are achieving that, but not actually using that style of play. If that makes sense.
Oh, I'm having the opposite problem. I'm playing direct, and they saying I'm not playing direct.
So I mean that sort of thing, and that could be easily sorted out if you've used that tactical preset of direct counter attack, and you can't move away from that direct football. Then you are sort of achieving that and your board can't be upset. Whereas at the moment, there's no way of your board or the game recognising your actual style of play. So you've got it in your profile. Like, you've got, I like to play this certain way, blah, 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 blah. again, it's like you can see it in the opposition, right? So you can click on the manager. Some of you might have seen it already, where it says that this manager likes to play route one. Then it says play mentality, adventurous. And then it says pressing, he likes to play more often. It's like, he wants to play route one football, but he's got attacking mentality and pressing high. And then you look at his tends to, and it's like, it's completely contradicting that sort of thing. And that would help someone like me as well, because at the moment, the way I'm playing the game is I like to look at the opposition. And this is where I've started to notice these things, where I'm looking at the opposition, how they play, and then I adjust my game and how I will approach that game. But then it does get confusing when the manager's like, yeah, I like to play route one, but I'm playing attacking football and I'm using overlaps and all these things but that's contradicting, and it's difficult for me to then make these real life decisions as a manager would in looking at the opposition, how they play, because I physically can't. You're telling me that they're doing like 3 different things that's contradicting each other.
So is the problem then with how Football Manager has to be presented? They're trying to create a game that satisfies someone like RDF Tactics, who wants to be able to plan and prep for a specific team during the week in terms of his training. He wants to be able to put his plan together, focus on individual players, little movements that the opposition are going to do, their style of play, their physicality. So we're trying to create a game that you want to play like that. And also, they're trying to create a game that someone just wants to play Spacebar Manager. Get through 3 or 4 seasons. They want to be able to get their tactic, go, right, okay, I want to play Gegenpress football. I want to play 4-2-3-1. And I want to put my Wonder Kids in. And I want to not really have to do a great deal. And I'll win more than I probably lose. And I can win the Champions League in about 5 years. So that's a really tough balancing act for how those 2 styles of play have to be able to work in the same game. Is that what I'm understanding?
Things. Yeah, but there's 2 things. They had that before. They had Football Manager and they had Football Manager Touch the computer. They quite literally had that, where you can play this more in-depth game, or you could just be Spacebar Manager. I mean, the game did sort of look different. And if I was playing FM Touch, I'm like, this isn't quite Football Manager. Like, the way it looked, it did look a bit streamlined, but like we saw on the mobile phone, that's not the case this year. So I think that on PC, they could have these 2 different versions, where you're a Spacebar Manager, where you just want to play blah, 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 or you're more just in-depth. But also, the second thing I was going to say as well, though, I don't think they're far off it. I mean, like, we're saying these things, and if they tweak these things, then I would think that they've got it. So I don't think they're far off it, and maybe that's one reason why this year they just want to... They can't actually create that at the moment because of these things that we mentioned. Things are contradicting itself, and old things are working on this new game, whatever. So maybe that's one reason why they are this year just like, you know what, we are removing this. We're not taking it out completely. It's going to come back in the future, but it has to be better. I want to know, is there actually anything in the game that you would do that to now? Is there something in the game that you would remove for a year to bring back and improve?
Before we do this, I want to get Si's opinion on you essentially saying that everyone has to play a different game if they don't want to. They just want to give them an easier game.
I just noticed that it came off. I noticed it came across like that. But again, people that have been following me for years know that when that game was out, when it was like that, I was using FM Touch. Like if I was in that mood to play and I don't care about training, like we'll get stuck into that in a second. But if I didn't want to do training, if I just wanted to play a save, I'm just pressing the space bar and I'm playing the game, setting the game, and there's less rules as well involved, and you don't have to do this. I don't think there's even registration in that game, which again, you are very streamlining it at this point, but there wasn't even registration, so it just felt like I'm just pressing the space bar. But then when I'm playing the game, it's clearly Football Manager. Like when I'm in the match, it's clearly Football Manager. It's the same engine. It's just the outside. I don't have to do with all that hassle. There's no press conference that I have to decline or attend to. It's all gone. So it felt like it was suited for people that just didn't want to be involved in that sort of stuff. It was made for them.
And I think that's what some people have said, Si, isn't it? That they feel as though they're almost ostracised from the game because there's too much going on. Like, we know of countless amount of people our age who played FM when they were younger, then it got too much in, and then they were, I haven't got time to sit and play this now. Like, so, but then there is a hardcore, we'll call it hardcore percentage online that are going, well, we don't want it to look like a mobile game, and then, you know, we've had debates, we'll have debates forever about what we believe is the right way for FM to look, and it's not for us to decide, it's going to be for SI to decide. And then, thank for everyone that there's a skinning community for those people who don't like how it looks. They can create something completely different. But Si, I mean, where are you then? What would you? We're taking things out. We're taking more things out. What would you get rid of?
Okay, to address the first thing, a lot of people are talking about, they're removing this, removing that. They're obviously they haven't announced anything yet. I've seen so many people say, I'm not getting the game this year. They're just removing anything and they're not adding anything. And it's like, and I think this is this is maybe on the messaging of Sports Interactive. But they haven't announced. The only thing they've announced is women's football, which they announced 2 years ago, and they've shown that one screenshot. Oh, and the Premier League license, right? And they showed that screenshot, but they haven't actually announced anything yet. The announcements hasn't yet. The game hasn't. I mean, it's kind of a weird one. I don't know why they need an announcement for the game when they're announcing when the game's going to be announced. So officially, FM25 does or does not exist
My
yet.
head just went. What?
I just saw a train go through Aaron's eyes.
I mean, what is it that they've delayed the announcement? They've delayed the announcement of the announcement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what? But I think what that is they're going to start telling us about what they are adding to the game, which I think is or what is changing in the game, right?
The roadmap.
I think that's going to
get the roadmap, aren't we? Yeah.
So we haven't had that yet. So everyone who's saying, I'm not going to buy this game's terrible, it's worse than ever, it's a console game, it's a mobile game or whatever. I'm sorry if that's you and you're in the comments, and maybe I'm upset at everyone now. Just chill for a month, 2 months. And then if you're right, then say it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, right?
Completely justified.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think, I especially on Reddit or Twitter, I'm seeing a lot of people very, very, very angry, and I'm like, we don't know anything. What are these people seen that I haven't? Why are these people? I'm constantly tuned in to what's going on in Football Manager news, and it's like, have these people seen something, played something I haven't? So I thought, well, let's play devil's advocate then. So what would I remove? And now I'm going to go with a crowd pleaser. I'm going to say I would remove new gen faces because they're completely unnecessary. What are they there for? Because so when you load the game, if you haven't got license for a league and it has proper players, you just get the silhouettes, right? Yes. And if you don't load in a face pack, you just end up with a silhouette. If you're playing on console and you play the Premier League right now, unless you're Man City or Brighton, you get a silhouette, or Leicester. I don't remember who the other team is. Burnley or Leicester. I don't know which way around. You get a silhouette. So, why do new gens need these? And I'm talking as a man with some bold eyebrows. Need these massive caterpillar things on their faces. These horrible looking gormless expressions, not even uncanny valley. I hate to say it like this, but it's just take them out. So many less people complain about new gen faces if they just weren't there. You can't see them in the match engine. Mm-hmm. And actually it's worse because now I'm imagining they have those faces in the match engine. Lots of people are replacing them with AI or whatever, and maybe Sports Interactive don't want to do that for various reasons. There's a lot of discussion about the use of AI and AI art in video games. Understandably so. So I understand why Sports Interactive might be very hesitant about doing that. Although there's good reasons why they might want to. Maybe what they should do is just be although I don't know if it'd be the best representative, maybe just want your face in the game, send us take a profile picture, a passport style photo, send it to us, and you can have your face in the game when there's a new gen face. Though I don't know how many they'd have to collect. They'd probably have to collect a lot. And I expect the demographic would be you're going to get a lot of old looking 18-year-olds, aren't you? But yeah.
But then again, look at some of the new gen faces anyway.
I was going to say, man's 40 at 16 anyway.
So, yeah, new gen face. Can I get you on board with removing new gen faces? Can I get the comments section on board with removing new gen faces?
Mm-hmm. You got my
yeah. It's like FM 101, isn't it? What would you get rid of never to be seen again? So, room 101, new gen faces are in, and they are banished, never to be seen again.
No, they can come back, but they have to look like what we see other people are making. I think that's to the point. But I'm always weird with graphics anyway, because I never used to play with face packs, and my argument was Saka's 18 in my game, and he's 18 in real life, so he's gonna have an 18-year-old face. What happens when he's 34 in my game and he's still looking 18? And like that ruins. That breaks my immersion rather than enhance it. And with newgen faces, that did really ruin sometimes. And like it's so weird, it's so small, but it's just like you click on the player's profile, it's like, I mean, he's not real anymore. I'm looking at his face, it's like he's not real. He's just not real.
Though, this is like this is one of those things, right? Like for me, I take new gen faces and I take updated match graphics. I'm gonna leave this very, very high level here, right? For me, I'm only considering they need improving because I stream, right? If I was just playing at home on my laptop, right, not on a gaming PC, on a laptop, just playing FM, I'd be on 2D and I wouldn't be bothered about player face or anything like that, right? I'll download my kit packs and I'll download my club logos. That's it, okay? But because I'm broadcasting and because I'm showing a visual game, then I understand why that needs to be in, okay? So I had it in the chat before, why have you not got new gen faces in? And I was like, fine, I'll put them in. And I'm like, right, yeah, they do look a little bit better. But has it made my game any better? No. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get me any better results. It just means that everyone now looks the same, right? And also as well, we're talking about new gen faces, right? This, like, I'm not saying that my 4-year-old son can draw better, but that is a new gen face if ever I've seen one.
Yeah, with new gens, for me it was like I didn't like them before, and they were better before as well. So it's getting worse as well. That's the worst thing. So for me, get my vote. New gen faces out.
Okay, motion passed. New gen faces are out.
Yeah, right. Tony, you're up. What are you removing? So,
what am I removing? I'm removing the squad planner. I want to love it.
Squad planner.
I want to love it.
Same. I want to. They messed me up with the squad depth. They really messed me up with that, man. There's no need to remove that.
I know. Like, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. But why am I still using pens and paper? Like, that's the problem, right? Like, we joke about it on stream. Like, I go, right, pens and paper at the ready because it's transfers. And everyone, some person in the chat going, you know, there's a squad planner. I'm like, yeah, I'm on my 4th notepad. I know there's a squad planner. Like, it's just, for me, maybe I don't understand how it works, and the way that it's been designed hasn't been explained fully to me, but it just doesn't seem to work the way that I would like it to work. So how I would imagine it, right, would be to go, this is my starting 11 for the upcoming season, okay? And I'm going to have all my positions. So I'm going to have my first 3 goalkeepers. I'm going to have a young goalkeeper in there as well. Maybe try and create a pathway for him. He's 16 years old at the minute, so he's not going to be useful until maybe like 5 seasons down the line. But I want to consider him going out on loan in 2 years' time, getting some time in the under-19s first of all. Then I want to start looking to work out where my target's going to drop in as you go around. And I'm aware you can kind of do that, right? If you've got one tactic, right? And you can't, if you then have a different tactic, everything's got to be binned off, started again, and then all these players are dropping in from like different positions, being like, oh, you've bought a right back. Well, we're going to put him in as your 8th choice left winger. And I'm like, but why? Like, I've bought him as a right back. I know he can play left wing, but just delete him out of there, get rid of it. And I just want to be able to have my recruitment at the same time. I've talked about this before about director of football, and have like 3 or 4 targets for each position and go, right, that's my number 1 target. We work towards that target. If we don't get him, we move on to 2 and 3. And that's what I think should work with the squad planner. Maybe it does, and I'm not using it properly. Maybe. But I'd like to just see some improvements. I'd like to be able to have pathways for young players in there, moments for when I'm going, right, this guy is going to be starting to come towards the end of his career. And yes, that'll work with the depth and the player experience charts, but it's too many clicks. It needs to be condensed. I was going to say,
I think it's in there, so you have that peak development, and
which is a great idea.
Yeah, but I think it's because it's on, like, it's a click away, and it's like, but it needs to be on my, like, I need to see that when I press squad planner.
Those players need to be in a different colour, don't they?
The whole plan needs to be there. So my thing with the squad plan, do you think it's just a feature that's too late? Like, do you think because you're so in your way, and you would appreciate a squad planner in FM15, but like or FM16 rather than
You know what?
you're at this stage now where it's just normal for you. It's natural just to go to pen and paper.
I would have loved squad planner to be announced in FM25. Like, so I wanted to have the last couple of years working on it behind the scenes. And then FM25, we've taken out international management, but hey, we've got the squad planner, and this is how it's going to work. And we've taken international management out because we can't get the squad planner working with international management yet. And that's how I would have had it. 2 years removed, put it in as a brand new thing for FM25, justify why international management's not here, because it doesn't work together. Si, have I got you on board with this?
What?
Your eyes are going up. I make sense. I
feel like the squad planner does do what you want, though. I don't know. The one thing I wish... So here's the thing I sort of would change. Or maybe this is similar. I don't know. So when you're selecting your squad, right? And you say... When you've got your players, you tell them your first choice, your superstar, but it's contractual, right?
Yeah.
What... I should have two options. I should have, this is their contractual, this is my promise to you, you're on your playing position. But I should also have my own squad planner version where I'm like, this is my first choice right back. Don't tell them because it's not the promises I've made, or maybe it is. They should match the promises, but they don't have to. So this is my preferred right back first choice. This is I guess it sort of does that, but it's also like, how do you... Like, and then if you ever do quick pick or the assistant has to pick or whatever happens, or like whenever it's training and stuff, it will like take those things into mind. But I don't know. I feel like the squad planner sort of does those things, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is a few too many clicks.
Does it shuffle as well? Like, so say like a player moves.
Yeah.
Like, does your player automatically, like, I guess he would automatically move up the rankings because that person's
suggest
not there,
for everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you press suggest, then it's not working, is it?
That's my thing. That button shouldn't be there. It's you squad planner. That button, because I use it all the time. Like, if I ever use squad planner, I go straight to request. It's like, let me see what the assistant's saying, and then he just does everything for you. Like, and sometimes a lot of it is just like, yeah, it's definitely not what I would do. But I thought that defeats the whole purpose in the squad planning. Like, it should be for you to be a place to squad plan. For me, I think it should be more dynamic. I think it should be things like, it shouldn't be set in positions and like you've got your left winger list a certain thing. I think it's just like this is your key, this is your main selection, this is your rotation selection, and this is your development selection.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and then like even when you're playing. I think squad planner should go a place where you go before a game to work out your calendar, the shift of the next game. So it's like, obviously you're playing Manchester City now, or let's say you're playing Stoke City, but then you go to squad planner and your assistant or whatever is telling you like, this is what your thing is, but remember you've got Manchester City away in 3 days. And then you're like, oh, now this is where I can rotate. And it's easier for you because now you've already set that, this is my rotation selection of players, and this is my development selection of players. And I could just easily like, oh, I'm just going to give Saka a rest. Because now I know I've planned squad planning. I know that I've got Manchester City away in 3 days. So I should be able to afford Saka a rest on this match coming up.
Link it as well to your promises with, players who want increased game time, players who want opportunities. In the squad planner, it can be like little games, like say there. So there's a game where you can rotate. The assistant manager should be going, look, you could be giving him a go now because he wants a bit more playing time. Great game for him. Or this is a young kid, don't try him here. It's too high pressure. Like, or hey, he's ready, stick him in, give him some minutes. He's good to go. And then also link it with your recruitment to go, I know we're not looking at a left winger, but this guy would be great. He'd change the way we play. And you can almost then, again, dynamically add it in. And the other staff can be adding to this planner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think, again, this is where your staff should have more of an input on what's going on. Again, there's a lot of things that I think the assistant should be. I've been playing FM Touch on my mobile too much. Because I feel like there's certain things, like even in the game, like you're playing a game when your match automatically pauses because it's your assistant giving you input. Look, my man's getting knackered. I think you should be thinking about taking him off. But your game pauses. So in my head, I'm getting immersed in my mobile game. I'm getting immersed, and he's like, wait, someone's actually in my ear giving me information. Like, I feel the assistant's actually doing something, whereas in FM, the game's still playing. You've just got this little dugout thing where information pops and pops out and your midfield's being overrun. You've told me that since FM23 or FM13 even, sort of thing. But yeah, I feel that this is, in this squad planner, it's a way for your staff to have greater input in what's going on in the club. And then maybe his attributes should actually matter there as well. Like, maybe he makes a mistake, but that's because his judging potential is 10. Now, I've actually done this a lot of times, and I've looked at my assistant manager, what he thinks is my best 11. And then I go and check what the person with judging ability, his judging ability is 9, nowhere near my assistant manager, but it's the same team. Like, they're giving me the same recommendation. It's like, so what is the attribute actually doing, sort of thing? Where's the input? What's the difference? Like, I'm not getting his personality, and I'm not getting his personality. He likes to play gegenpressing, he likes to play route 1, but they're telling me to play the exact same team. Like, to me, that sort of thing doesn't make sense. And again, this is where possibly squad planning can come into it. Like, maybe my analyst has noticed that Ruben Diaz and John Stones have lost, I don't know, 50% of their headers. And then your thing's telling you can start Giroud in this game because of that stat sort of thing. Again, your data analyst having an input in your squad planning.
And again, Si, then even linking that to your recruitment. So again, you've got there saying, right, okay, your data analyst going, you know what, our centre-halves are not winning the ball in the air. We might want to look to recruit someone who can actually head the ball. Like, or, hey, you know what, we're not winning the ball in the air, but it's fine because the tactic doesn't need us to as well. And so, but do you know what I mean? Because again, we always overlook these attributes and these stats. Like, Man City defenders don't tackle because they're intercepting the ball. So there's the little link with things that you've got in there that just need to make a little bit more sense, a bit more clarity. Si, am I anywhere towards convincing you that this maybe needs to come out?
I think you are. Well, yeah, if it comes back in with a rework, I need my space to plan things. And you also hit on something else I'd remove, which is recruitment meetings, because while I've been playing Bilbao, I've noticed that, because Bilbao don't do recruitment, really. You know, they're only hiring from Basque teams. So whenever my scout comes to me, and either he suggests someone who I can no longer sign because they're no longer eligible to be Basque, or they don't suggest anyone, and I'm like, why are we having these meetings? Like, why do I even got to have a scout team?
But you know what, though, Si? That happens at every other club as well. They have these recruitment meetings, and they go, hey, we're going to call a recruitment meeting. I'm like, great.
Have you heard of Lionel
who should we
Messi?
sign? And they're like, I don't know. They're like, at least bring some names.
Oh, they'll bring you Messi. If they suggest anyone, they bring you Messi. I remember there used to always be a joke. It'd be like, have you thought about signing Lionel Messi? Yeah, could do. Where are you finding that money from?
Alfreton, look down the back of the sofa for more money. Can't sign him.
That's it. Could be that time. Who was it? Was it Socrates showed up for like Burton Town or something?
Something like
in his
that.
40s. Yeah.
Rangers trying to
Carlos
sign
did it this
R9
year.
and go, you only have to play the Champions League games.
Oh my god.
Right, okay,
Aaron's turn. Aaron, you got to. Oh, we got to vote on it first. Sorry, Tony.
Well, Does it? I think I'll leave it to you boys.
I'm giving you the vote on the only condition that it has to come back the next year. It's only got 1 year gap. It can only be away for a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too important. It needs a redo, but I think it's too important to remove. I don't think you could do a year without it.
That's fair.
Goes, that's fine.
fair.
We'll take a draw, split decision. Right, okay. Let us know in the comments where we're going with that one. Not the slam dunk I was hoping for. Right, Aaron, you're up then.
Let's hope I can get the slam dunk. So my thing is training schedules. Now, I've had this thing that I was just playing the game, and again, I'm handing the responsibility to the assistant manager. And then I noticed that I've got a very easy home game, but he's using defensive training schedules throughout that whole week. And then it was in that moment I'm like, I think training should be geared more to match preparation rather than just a training, like you could just do anything. So basically what I'm getting at is if you playing the opposition, that training schedule, that week should be focused on that match and that match only. And then as soon as that match is done, your team's back in again. Obviously, you've had your meeting, your pre-match and post-match meeting with the squad, and then it's back to match preparation. I'm not. For me, it's the training actual schedules. So I think maybe take some out, or take for now. So for the year, take all of it out. Just have it pretty streamlined, that you're just doing attacking, defensive, technique, and physical, whatever for the week. Just have that for FM25. Then FM26 is where now you can actually really focus on match preparation and how you want to attack the opposition or how you want to defend. Both, if you've got 7 days, obviously 7 days in the week, Monday to Friday, 5 days, half of it is split on how you want to attack, half of it is how you want to defend and whatnot. And because, like, in real life as well, like, these players are going to get better, not just through training, but through experience. There's players that are at Arsenal that are training every single day. You wouldn't necessarily say they're getting better, but there are players that are playing on the pitch every week who you can say are getting better, and it's through game time. That's the biggest development, and I feel that's the biggest development in Foot Manager anyway. Like, anyone that asks me, oh, what's the best training schedules to develop my wonder kid, it's play them. That's how they really get better. So I feel training should be more away from the development of players and more so about the preparation of the game coming up. And then you still have the additional training focuses. That's where your development is. That's where you want Saka to be better at dribbling. That's where you do your additional focus rather than having to do the training schedule for the whole team. Because you know what I mean? Like, if you're doing overlap, apparently all your fullbacks are supposed to be getting better at this certain thing, but some of your fullbacks might not actually have to get better at that. But what should be happening is maybe we should be doing overlapping for preparing for that match coming up on the weekend, sort of thing, sort of vibe. So yeah, that's where I'm at with training schedules. Any opinions? Any thoughts?
Because I can give you my answer right now. I use training schedules downloaded by RDF Tactics.
Yeah, so like, even that thing, right? So I had like someone in the stream ask me, like, what does this do? What does that do? And I'm like, I designed these schedules to reduce fitness and stuff. So what? I'm not actually looking at the description of what this thing's doing. I'm looking at how it's affecting my players, and that's how the match schedule, my training schedules are about. That's why, like, for me, I feel like I get less injuries and stuff because I'm just designing it purely managing fatigue and stuff rather than anything special, because your players are only going to develop really by playing.
I mean, yeah, are they? I think they should develop more using training. I mean, maybe this is a problem with how the game is running at the minute, and I think some people have done some tests on this. The best way for a player to improve is to have them playing, which sort of does make sense. But, you know, the gains that they make in training are just too inconsequential. I don't touch training, but I understand a lot of people really love training and they, you know, micromanage every little thing. Yeah. The reason I don't micromanage training is because I don't know how anyone gets the feedback to know the difference that it's making. And anyone who's not, you know, using a minimum, like some standardized training schedule is a madman, because I'm like, you haven't got enough feedback to know what's happening. Like, you could set your team to train set pieces all week, like every training session, train set pieces. Will it make a difference? Maybe if you run it for a whole season, but like, you know, everything else will suffer. And I think like you're talking such minuscule margins that I don't know if it makes a difference, and I hate to say it because there's some very passionate people who love doing their training tactics.
No, I think that for me is the point. Like, because again, I've not really touched training until working with Aaron, and it's like Aaron was convincing me that, like, oh, you need to do a bit more on your training. I'm like, all right, fine. Like, you know, I'll have a look. I saw Aaron had made his schedules, and I was like, well, that's all. Can I have a little nosy at these? He's like, yeah, pop them in, see what you do. Again, I don't know whether it has. I don't know what difference it has to my players. I don't know. I don't notice a massive improvement in my results because I still think that I could undo a lot of what Aaron's done on the training pitch quite easily on the match day by making it wrong when it comes to the tactics and my other decisions. But it does feel like, as you say, Si, it's a part of the game you can ignore. And it doesn't really seem to punish you enough. Like, surely, if you're a manager and you're classed as taking charge of training, because again, we know you can delegate this, it's not a problem, right? But if you're in charge of the training schedules and you're not really planning anything, then it should have a detrimental effect. Do you know what I mean?
Managers should, and some don't. In real life that happens.
Yeah, but then you would be classed as like you could just default that straight to your assistant manager. let them do it, and that would be fine. Let it work around. But if you just load the game up and you leave the default training schedule on, that doesn't seem to have any consequence. Like, do you get sufficient gains by tweaking it, or are you being punished by leaving it as it is? I really struggle to see the difference.
Is it fun to tweak it? I think that's another important question.
Nah, for me, it's purely fatigue management. It's fitness, fatigue management. I would like to say happiness, but again, it's one of those things. I'm not sure how much of an effect happiness has in the game. But for me, fatigue and fitness is definitely
morale, team cohesion. I think those would be the only two things I tweak my training schedule for, is to get team cohesion up, especially if we're on a losing streak.
Yeah,
but,
that's the one. The team bonding session.
This is the thing again. Now, back to the tactical preset. Could you imagine setting this thing as gegenpressing, and then when you're asking your assistant to do stuff, he's not doing silly stuff let's just do a direct counter-attacking thing for the whole week. Like, your training schedule is set to gegenpress, or your tactical style is set to gegenpress. I think then automatically your training should now be focused. It should be automatically, it should automatically set to gegenpress. Like, that's the preset of your tactic. Now, when you're in training, that's the thing that they're doing in training, and that's one way again. You feel your players are now preparing for that style of play and the game ahead. Because again, for me, it just doesn't make any sense that you're doing gegenpressing, but then your thing's just focused on defenses and defending disengaged and stuff. Like, you're literally through the week doing training, defending, not pressing, but your tactic is asking your team to press. Like,
do they do that? I'm gonna have to go check now.
And that's where the game doesn't, that's where for me it feels like training isn't punishing you enough. That shouldn't make sense. Like, Jurgen Klopp wouldn't be telling his team how to not counter press. It just doesn't make sense. Like, he's not gonna be telling that. There's not gonna be a training schedule with everyone dropping back, dropping deep when you lose possession, because that is not how the team style is, or how Liverpool are preparing for that game ahead. So I just feel it's a bit silly that you can do that without it having a negative effect on you, because it's a training schedule, a day lost, which in real life is quite big. Like, you don't want to just lose a training schedule.
I wonder as well, Aaron, if you're saying about if you train for a specific game. So say, for example, we use that example, you are a gegenpress side.
Yeah.
But your upcoming match, you want to stay compact. You want to stay tight. You don't want to be charging around the pitch. Like,
yeah,
that's got to affect the players as well on the training pitch. Like, do you know what I mean? So you should theoretically have slightly more energy. Like, maybe because you're not training as intensely that week. Like, what would be, like, again, the sliders are there's maybe too much going on, but surely like a more structured training schedule of, like, we're going to be compact, we're going to be defensive, we're going to be a cohesive unit, we're not bombing all over the place. Save your legs, lads, right? You should get some sort of physical improvement that week. I know maybe it's more of a mentally draining match that you've got coming up. So again, you're still going to have that fatigue, but there's got to be something that's got to work with it as well. Surely. Or am I just, again, as always, am I just overthinking it?
Could you have something where it's like, and maybe this is too gamey, but it is a game at the end of the day, and I think it would reflect real life. Could you have something like, okay, you've been practicing corners all week, like the team, like basically it's a boost in game for corners, but it will say something like, the team feels ready to face corners. I don't know what it says, but it gives like a message that seems more realistic than you've got a 2x boost to corners or whatever, or 1.0001% boost to corners. It's like the team feels well prepared for corners this week, and then it will say, maybe it'll be a negative one as well. It's like the team doesn't feel like they've done enough fitness this week and are feeling a little bit sluggish.
Or even as well, because I like that, because you get the message saying like, oh, these players feel as though there's too much fitness training or too much strength and conditioning training, but it never really justifies why. Like, I like the bit with the set pieces. I'd like to see, we've been training set pieces, corners for example, for 3 weeks, and even the set piece coach going, they're just not getting it. Like we need to change the tactic. It's just not working. Like the set pieces we're practicing is not working. Can we consider something else?
Because that will make every save unique, right? That will make every game different. It won't be like I'm just turning up to Sai's stream like, hey Sai, try an air post, and I go to your stream, hey Tony, try an air post. Like it wouldn't apply because it's two different saves. And I think again that's a very good. That would be a good move to make saves feel more unique, and that's one way I guess they could make saves more unique. Like your set piece manager's like, this near post thing isn't working, blah 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 blah, and no matter how much you can plug it, but obviously if you're not scoring the goals, you can't complain because you've been told that it's not working in training, and it just makes the save different. Yeah,
your set piece coach then goes to your recruitment and goes, if he still wants to play near post corners, I need someone who can move, right? Who can get to the near post. So you're gonna have to find him a centre back or someone big, because otherwise we're just slinging things in and it's not working. Like, so I think that would be a nice thing. And did we debate this before as well? I feel like we might have done. Is I also wonder, there doesn't seem to be any impact on travel. Yeah, and again, maybe this is like too high, but you know, like if you've got like a long, we always say that the Champions League games or the Thursday Europa League matches, like, do you have a fitness decline or a mental decline playing Thursday, Sunday? Like, is that there? Like, if you're traveling back from, I don't know, way out in Europe or something, and you come back, or your players have been away on international duty, like, again, do they need that little bit longer if they've been out of the continent to readjust? Because that happens in real life. Do we need that in a game?
Like an inbuilt
maybe
jet
not,
lag
like,
or travel lag?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because you wouldn't just pop your Brazilian players straight back in after they've been out on an international friendly.
I think I've seen this in the game. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to say that I'm right.
They rest.
They come back with a little.
It's more so
FT.
More so your player, like it can be in the player. There we are. I've got it. So Kim Min-jae in my game. Can we share screen? Is that gonna just ruin everything? It doesn't matter. So I'm hovering. So Kim Min-jae, right on the left side of, he's got the player status information and he's got IPR, and his player's reaction is tired from traveling. The issue is how much of an effect does that have when he's playing? Like, I could play my next game, which is I don't want to play that game. It's against Real Madrid. But he's got the negatives.
Eddie Howe's warming up. I was
like, let me play that game. Second thoughts, maybe not. So he's got negatives, right? Recognizes he has a little standing within. Okay, that's never mind. But it also says tired from traveling. So it's there, in the game, but you have to go out and look for it. That wasn't. That would be more of a useful message in my inbox, because I actually feel that's pretty big going into a game against Real Madrid, and Kim Min-jae is actually saying that he's tired from the traveling. That's big news.
Is it based on his distance, I wonder, or just
see? Now this is the thing. Like, so I'm looking at my schedule now. Go to my calendar. We've just travelled away from Frankfurt, but during the week,
so it wasn't international; it was domestic.
Yeah, domestic, but it is after the international break. So he's probably tired from that travel international break. Then the away game at Frankfurt, that's likely to have just hurt him.
Well, there isn't then. I like that.
I think the other thing I was suggesting before when we had this discussion was, morning and afternoon people. Like, do players have like a preference for if they're a late evening player? I bet there's a thing where it's like, this is a Tuesday night player, this is not a lunchtime fixture player. I wonder if anyone's ever looked at that in real life. Like, whenever this team plays at a lunchtime, is it Man United who always?
Yeah, no. Brighton. It's Brighton. Don't play Brighton at 12:30. Just don't do that. Yeah, don't. That's a big mistake.
Yeah, they get up early and eat their pancakes, don't they? They're good to go.
They go sunning on the pier. They're there.
Yeah, don't play Brighton at 12:30, man. But that was a thing when I was young. Like, Henry's got his arms, the sleeves rolled down, and the gloves. He means like when Henry wears gloves, that tends to mean he's on something. There's something about to come.
Not just it was cold.
That was there. It was cold, but for some odd reason, if he wore gloves, every Arsenal fan thought this is it. And there is certain players like under the lights, innit? They say under the lights. Yeah. I'm guessing it is a thing. Like, these pressured moments do get the best out of some people, don't it?
But then there's also players as well, if they've got their gloves on, like, you just go, he doesn't fancy it today. He does not fancy it. He's got his gloves on. He's got his long sleeves. You might just stick him on the bench. He doesn't want to be here. Like,
even the Haaland thing, like when Haaland has his hair in a bunch, and then when he takes out the bunch, if people are like, time to get scared now.
But and again, I don't know how you reflect that in the game though, like, because there will be moments where like you get players just go, they just don't fancy it today. Like, I guess it's that nervous thing or whatever. They put their nervous or like would rather stay on the bench. Like, that annoys me.
We say these things don't have an effect in the game, but they possibly do. They possibly do. Maybe it's just the opposition are also going through a similar thing. Like, it's not just happening to your team; it's also happening to the AI. So I'm pretty sure these things. I don't want to sound pretty sure these things have an effect.
With things like sort of like weather issues, would that fall under things like adaptability? Probably. Do you reckon, Si?
Yeah, adaptability is more to do with like how they adapt to being in a new country.
So that's what I think. Yeah. So say like you've got a player who's used to being from a hot climate, you then get to December, and then could you presumably see their form drop a little bit in December because they go, this is not what I signed up for.
I think Football Manager would want to stay clear of that, right? Football Manager would probably want to stay clear of that.
Yeah, but it's a thing, isn't it? Like, you know, it could be a thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I see. Like, I can understand why.
I'm not saying it's like every single person would struggle, but you would have to, because again,
certain players have this thing. Yeah. I think it's one of those things that could make saves unique, right? Like,
does it go fickle personality possible or something? Maybe.
Yeah, it'll probably have to be with newgens as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a personality thing always either. I wonder, like, adaptability is to do with culture and language. But obviously, like, if you stick me to play in the Egyptian league, I'm going to boil. Like, you know, I'm just not used to playing in that heat and that temperature. This is the problem with the Qatar World Cup, right? And it's why, like, you can see it internet. Well, okay, yeah. You can see with international football though, like when it's no coincidence that when the World Cup is played in Germany, the winners are often France, Italy. I was going to say England, of course it was England, but you know, or when it's played in Europe, like Western Europe, the winner is usually Western European. When it's played in South America, the winner is usually South American, except for the one time, unless it's Germany who just seem to win it, like occasionally. And then I don't think there's ever, I think it's other than Germany, I don't think anyone's really won outside their continent. Obviously, South Korea, Japan, and Qatar are exceptions to that. But it's like there is a correlation between climate and how well the players play. I don't know if they would implement that. There is climate in the game because you can change altitudes and things like that and have all the players die if you put it ridiculously high. The second yellow card knows. I don't know if you can have I don't know if you put Bolivian players at high altitude, if they naturally are better at high altitude than Dutch players, right, who live at sea level or under sea level or wherever they live, like SpongeBob SquarePants. So yeah, it's like, you know, I was just thinking about
You just call a whole nation a bunch of SpongeBob SquarePants.
It was at this moment that the podcast took a turn.
I don't know why I said that. I just said they live under the sea level.
I love the fact that last week I angered people because I said take attributes out, and then Size just went, "Hello, the Dutch." Right?
This is the way that he's about to carry on as well. I was like, wait, did we
just the Dutch people just catching strays from Mr. Maggio? A bunch of SpongeBob SquarePants. What did he call us?
I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Like, would that make a difference? Would Dutch people struggle in Bolivia more than Bolivians or Mexico? Mexico City's really high, right?
Element of that in the game, right? It has like the player prefers not to play in this country and that country. Yeah. And there's I don't know what the reasons.
Does it have that?
Yeah, they have it. Yeah. Again, it's something that we probably. The amount of times I've raged because someone's accepted someone else and not me, and then you look at their thing and it's like he prefers not to play in your league, and like, okay, that makes sense.
Does it say prefers hot climates, prefers cold climates?
No, it just says prefers not to play in. I don't know. I think it's the nation, right?
That's probably like the reputation, right?
Yeah, I think Foot Manager have just obviously got in there whatever from real life and have just added it into the game. There's only certain players that have it. I don't think it's like I mean, yeah, you would have to go through the game and find someone that has it, sort of thing. But I guess, and again, it could be these things that Football Manager can add into the game just to make saves unique, and it doesn't feel like we're playing the same game. And I can't just sign Rooney Bargy today, and then I'll open a new save and sign the same Rooney Bargy, and he's doing the same things and different things. Like, he might be good in the second one, but he can't handle whatever it is in this save compared to the other one. I just think that these certain things will make games more unique, Football Manager games more unique from save to save. Even when I'm watching it sometimes, that I don't like to see watching someone stream and they're using, I don't know, Lorenzo Luca, and then you change over to someone else using Lorenzo Luca, and it's like he's dominating in both games, and it's like, damn it, sort of thing. But yeah.
But then again, you do get the occasional comment of going, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're getting a tune out of him. He's dreadful in my game." So it does happen, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's not like everyone, like the probability of success is very, very high, isn't it? With most of the players, no one's ever written back and just went, "Hey, I tell you what, that Hendrick's rubbish."
And I'm not saying obviously like one person should have a great Lorenzo Luca and the other one's just a total flop. Like a good player is a good player at the end of the day, but just that. Maybe in one save, someone's having more of a difficult time in managing him because of how he is in that save. He doesn't like this and he doesn't like that. So he's just having a bit of a more difficult time in just managing that player overall. I think that would be a bit fun.
Okay, so your original thought was get rid of training, and then eventually it's gone to get rid of everything.
I'm not gonna lie. When we were speaking, I was a bit upset that we skipped my vote. I was a bit upset. I'm not gonna.
We've got to do the vote. We can do the vote.
No, I put a pin in it. We're coming back to it. Right? I'm just checking that we're voting on the right thing here. So Aaron says get rid of training in its current form, Si.
As a person who doesn't use training, and I know it's going to annoy people, but I'm a yes, because I don't understand where I'm going wrong, like why I need to do it, and it doesn't punish me for not doing it. So yeah, get rid of it.
Slam dunk. You've hit it from the three. Like, it's not even a slam dunk. It's a 3-pointer. This is what you.
I'm happy with that one.
Yeah. Again, that might just be because I don't really understand it either. But yeah, get rid.
But I guess the thing is that people do look at the training schedules and just get off it because like, they don't understand. They don't understand what's going on.
You know what? Even if I was on the fence, the moment you convinced me was when you went, "Does anyone even have fun doing it?" I was like, "No, they don't. It's not fun at all." So you know what? I need to start going through medical records. Like, no.
I had fun creating my schedules, but it wasn't the fun like you'd think it is. It's more fun and it felt like a puzzle and I'm solving like, this schedule does this and that. Like I'm not really reading what the schedule is and what it does. I'm more looking at the hits that it's taking on my fatigue and stuff. And it's sort of a puzzle, right? You're designing these schedules and it's sort of a puzzle like, but the game's on Saturday, so maybe Tuesday have the stronger session and then Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's more of a puzzle, more of a game for me in that sense. But I do totally understand. It's the reason why I do it every year. I totally understand why people just don't do it. And I guess I feel like it's nice to make people feel that it's actually doing something.
Do you know what's funny? Now Aaron said it's like a puzzle, and I'm like, do you know what? I would sit and do something like that and work it out, but. Only in the game, I would not, and it's a literal schedule, and I would not schedule my own life. No, but I'm awful with that.
If you imagine you had a target point at the bottom, like, I don't know, of like your fatigue, you had a target point, and the match familiarity.
What, for me in real life?
No, like in the game.
Oh, in the game,
you've got this target point on the bottom right, and you're just doing these puzzles, just changing it, just looking at the bottom right, which is like a trigger thing, just moving across, and like, you're moving further away from the desired where you should be at, and then. I don't know, just something to make it more engaging because at the moment it's just boxes on boxes and people don't actually know what they're clicking on. They don't even know if it's doing anything. And I'm sad to say that I don't think it's actually doing anything other than rest. Like rest, recovery is clearly doing something. And that's the reason why my training schedule sometimes looks funky. Like there's one box on a Monday, but there's 2 boxes on Tuesday because I've carefully calculated. It's more match, fitness and fatigue.
I think as well when you were saying earlier about like a gegenpress schedule and a counterattack schedule should be different, and I'm like, and I'm using your schedule and I'm just putting it in, and I'm like, well, I'm playing counter-attack. Aaron's clearly just designed this as a gegenpress, but I'm still in the top 3 teams of the league, so something's still working. Still happy and as well. Theoretically, that's not what we're meant to be training.
The training happiness as well.
Although there's maybe the thing of it, maybe if I look a little bit more, I'd be top, because it'd be like, start looking at how you do a counter-attack. But yeah, I don't know. It's gone. It's gone. Bring it back. Bring it back when you bring international management back and the international squad planner, and do it that way. And then with some fantastic new regen faces that Maggio absolutely insists on us having. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Chris Smith, England forward 2049, with training schedules and squad planner. That's what we need.
Yeah. Having just won the Premier League with Southampton.
Oh no.
Right.
I've got another suggestion to remove. Can we remove Southampton from the game?
No.
Just take him out.
Also, as well, anyone that wants VAR removed from the game as well. No, you're not having it. You've all wanted video replays in football for years. This is what you all deserve, right?
Can we remove Man City from the game? How about that?
Maybe. Depends upon what the outcome of the charges that are coming up. So. Let's see how that one plays out, shall we? This has been fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, do let us know in the comments if there's any features that you would like to see removed, or if we got 3 right. I know there's one that we were on the fence about. I'm okay with that. Don't worry. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you would have removed, or again, just react to whatever we've said. Have we said something that makes complete sense, or have we just angered everyone yet again? We don't mean to, do it. We don't mean to try and anger people, but I think tensions are running a little bit high at the moment. So do that. Follow us on the social media. Aaron, extra content. Where can people find it?
They can find it at patreon.com/the FM Show Pod. That's patreon.com/the FM Show Pod, where you can support the channel from as little as £3. It's totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Totally worth it. And Si, if they're not convinced by £3, are we going to give them a little trial?
Yep, you can get a 7-day trial. Or I think if you follow it, so you go and you subscribe as an unpaid member. I did actually get a 50% off voucher come through my email. So I don't know where that came from. It just appeared in the email, and it had 2 weeks. Out of my pocket. I don't know if Patreon pays for it. I don't know who pays for it.
I'm joking, people. I'm just because Twitch be doing that enough.
Oh, I think we still get it. I think we still get the full amount. So you can pay one.
I think it's the incentive to move people from free members to fully fledged Patreons. And there's loads of really cool stuff in there. Some extra content every single episode. Once the camera's locked down, we go and we do some extra chat. So we've had loads of stuff, obviously, with Dr. Benji, and we're at the Space last week, which is brilliant. We're talking about building another community and Indonesian draft scene and stuff.
You talk about building a nation. I thought you lot are rich.
Very, very close. Very close. With Kev and Second Yellow Card, we talked about Aaron's love of chairs. There's been some watch-alongs. We've done Shaolin Soccer. We've done Goal 3. And then where the camera locks off tonight, we're going to talk about draft mode, I believe.
Yep, the showdown's back. Ben announced it earlier on Twitter. He announced it last week.
Show.
Exclusive. On this very show, exclusive on this show. Aaron's obviously been doing his draft in the World Cup. I've been running some draft nights. Let's go chat, and they're taking it out the game. So let's go chat about it.
So let's talk about how they can make it better.
It's coming back. It's coming back. That's the reason why we're talking about it. It's coming back. Just to get that.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, so you'll get that on Patreon. Follow the link in the description below. Maggio, tell us where people can follow you if they want to find more of your content.
Where you just said Maggio. Twitch.com/Maggio. YouTube.com/Maggio.
Oh,
Twitter.com/SoMaggioFM or Twitch.tv, yeah, not Twitch.com. I don't know, there's probably some dodgy site, don't go there. All the TikTok.com/Sci.Maggio, because you have to have dots in TikToks for some reason. Anyway, yeah, those are the places you can find me.
Yeah, and our football shirt show over on YouTube as well, the Football Shirt Social. So get yourself over there and have a watch, where we'll be getting Aaron on very soon with that absolute banger pre-match shirt that he's got on there as well. Aaron, tell the people, where can they find RDF Tactics?
You can find RDF Tactics at RDF Tactics on YouTube, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and on Twitch.
Don't really call it that. Call it Twitter.
He loves
Just
that.
call it Twitter.
X, go and give it to you. And Twitch.tv as well. I haven't been making a lot of content. I'm not going to lie. I've made 0 bits of content since that World Cup, but we are going to talk about that as well in the Patreon episode.
And you can find me, Tony Jameson, on Twitter, not X, defo Twitter, TikTok and Instagram, and then it's twitch.tv/Tony Jameson FM. Hope you've all enjoyed the show. If you have, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. There's over 3,000 of us now. It's building nicely. So yeah, take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you all next week. All the best. Bye now.
Cheerio.